So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are, and welcome to another collaboration video of the Shield on a Couch. And tonight, we have another anniversary album review, and I'm joined again, and we're gonna talk about Pearl Jam 10, which I see, yeah, he's got the CD. I got the normal version, and Señorita Sabrosura has the Target one, which is, I think the color of that one is purple, right?
I think so.
Yeah, damn you, Target. So yeah, so we're here to talk about this album that yeah, I love that poster. It's such a classic image, and this album turns. Oh, I love that. I would just would buy it because it looks just like the album cover. So this album turns 31 years old, Saturday, 8/27. So we're celebrating 31 years of this album, and we're gonna do a walk around. So first, we're gonna do like a first impression of the album, like where were you when you first heard it. Then we'll go on the second round and talk favorite tracks, and lastly we'll say how it has held up 31 years later. So today I thought let's start ladies first. So let's start with Señorita Sabrosura right there. So first of all, how are you, Señorita?
I'm good. I hope you guys are good too.
Yeah, I was good, except you sent me this YouTube video of this like 13-year-old kid.
Oh my God.
Did a review of this album saying that it was one of the worst albums ever. He's an idiot.
A little kid that he wasn't even born when the album came out. What are you talking about? You don't know anything. You haven't lived.
I'm not going to collaborate with him. I'll tell you
No,
that. So,
no.
but getting on topic, like where were you when you first heard
well, I know the album came in 1991, but I think I first listened, I think it was
Were
like
you in kindergarten?
I'm sorry?
Were you in kindergarten in 1990?
No. I think I first listened to it, it was like 93, 94. Someone gave me a cassette. And to be honest, it didn't catch me up because they gave me like Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins. I like that better, Temple of the Dog. But with the years, like I start appreciating more that album. But when it first came out, like, oh, I like it, but I didn't play it as much as like Nevermind or Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. It's just my I'm being honest, but with the years I start appreciating and listening more. um and what amazed me is that they started playing like in small venues, and now they're like a rock stadium band, like very popular, and the tickets go like so high.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you remember, but back in the 90s, they had that hugely popular. They had a fight against Ticketmaster, I think it was. Maybe JC remembers it too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I think
they
so.
had
Because they were charging too much.
Yeah, they were charging too much, but that was a few years after.
But they're charging a lot now.
Oh yeah, they charge a lot now. But yeah. So you heard it like after, like a few years after, and
yeah, when the grunge exploded.
Yeah, and it didn't grab you right away. Yeah. I think
I like it. And it was like, well, I like some songs better than the other ones, but it's not like but that time, like it's not something I will play over and over like other albums.
Yeah, makes sense. What about you, JC? Where were you when Pearl Jam 10 was released?
Okay, well, this came out in 1991. I was 20 years old in college. Now, this was before this, and actually the album that really got me into grunge was Nirvana's Nevermind. And that one came out, I guess it was before, I think it was after this, right?
One more after.
It came out like Nevermind came out, I think like a month after this.
Yeah.
But I discovered Nevermind first. And that was when I started getting into grunge. Now, we talk about the big four of grunge, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden. Those bands actually knew about because they were kind of more metal. So to me, they were metal bands. But I got into Nirvana, and the day after that, eventually I found Pearl Jam, and I really liked this band. They were a little different. They weren't like they were like almost metal, but like not quite like heavy metal. So that's why I liked them. They were like a little bit heavy. And I like the singer Eddie better. Like he had a very like unique singing voice. I always thought he was very good.
Yeah.
And since in the early 90s, I really liked this band because there was this album came out, and then Versus, and then the third one is Vitology, I believe. I mean, when those all came out, I used to listen to them all the time. And they are, they were one of my favorite bands back then. I think like at that point, I was listening to like less metal. We were talking about Metallica's Black Album, in our last video.
Mm.
That was one of the albums. Like Metallica's was one of the metal bands that I still listen to. I listen to Pantera, and other than that, I just listen to just like grunge music because I really liked it. I really got into alternative rock and all different styles of music. So that was kind of like a transition for me. First with Nirvana, and then with Pearl Jam. So this was like kind of like the second album that kind of got me into grunge. So, and then after that, I was just I just loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, like you guys, I love metal and stuff, but yeah, grunge and 90s music to me has a special place in my heart. So actually this I bought Nirvana, Nevermind, and Pearl Jam the same day. So I didn't buy them as soon as they came out because I was getting into music. So I bought my first four albums were Metallica, the Black Album, Pearl Jam 10, Nirvana Nevermind, and Saigon Kick. And those were I bought those four albums. I think they gave me an allowance, and I bought those four albums. So I listened to 10 and Nirvana's Nevermind at the same time. I think I love both equally. Something that I liked about Pearl Jam, maybe more now than then, is they're more their sound is more like Led Zeppelin classic rock type of feel, more 70s rock influence. Because like I remember back in the 90s, they would lump a lot of things in grunge, and there were some stuff like, okay, Nirvana and Pearl Jam sound nothing alike. Soundgarden and Alice in Chains sound nothing alike. Then you had the second wave, the Candlebox, which had more blues in them. I think Candlebox were more like trying to like do like a Pearl Jam kind of thing, but with more blues. But it was hard to categorize grunge or whatever they called it, because I thought all bands were different. There were the Jane's Addiction, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Stone Temple Pilots, Smashing Pumpkins. Like it was. I think all the bands had their own sound, so it was kind of hard to pigeonhole. But yeah, when Pearl Jam 10 came out, I love the cover. I thought this is like an iconic cover. Like they're all holding hands, and I did a video like a few months ago when the channel was more starting with Señorita Sabrosura about our top 5 like desert island albums, and this was one of them. So I already talked a little bit about it, but like for if someone didn't watch that video, it's they named the album 10 even though it has 11 songs because they all love the basketball player Mookie Blaylock, who wore the number 10. So yeah, then Jeff Ament, the bassist for them, was a huge basketball fan, obviously. And for people that don't know, this band rose from the ashes of Mother Love Bone. So Mother Love Bone was basically Pearl Jam with another single called Andy Wood, but he had I think it was a heroin overdose in the beginning of the 90s. And there's a documentary, and Chris Cornell said that a lot of people said that the death of grunge was where Kurt Cobain killed himself, but he said that actually when Andy Wood died, it got the scene got tainted. So Mother Love Bone was basically them, except then Eddie Vedder. I think he knew Jack Irons from the drummer at that time from Red Hot Chili Peppers, and he introduced him. He did a tape, and the rest is history. I think Eddie Vedder played with them like the first week and they play. I think "Alive" was one of the first songs that they wrote. But yeah, no, it's an album that I loved then, and I still like when it came out. It grabbed me. I really liked the Eddie Vedder's like singing, which was very unusual at the time, soulful. Then 10 years later or 8 years later, we got the guy from Creed imitating him. Not quite, yeah, but he's like, and you're like, no. No one can do the GOAT like Eddie Vedder.
No.
And yeah, to this day, well, I'm getting ahead of myself, but yeah, when it came out, I loved it. I really like like all those type of bands. I thought that even though the music was good, I think the lyrical content, like when you listen to Jeremy, and it's talking about a school shooting, and it's something that's so common now. So they were very ahead of their time, but I'm getting ahead of myself with the songs. But yeah, those were my earliest memories of like just buying this, listening to it, and just loving the lyrics and the music and Eddie Vedder's voice. So now we're gonna go back to Señorita Sabrosura, and she's going to tell us what are her favorite tracks from 10.
Okay. Well, one of my favorite tracks, I know it's been overplayed, it's "Alive." I really like it because it feels like a celebratory song, and that's the weird thing that he wrote about a team, but people mistook the lyrics and make it like an uplifting anthem, and it feels like that way. I think he was talking about discovering his father is not his father, but because he says I'm still alive, people take it like an anthem that like
yeah, maybe the way he sang it,
yeah. I also like once I think that's the opener.
That is the opener.
Yeah, I think it's a really good opener for the album. Like it sets the tone, like what you're getting into. For me, "Alive," "Even Flow," "Jeremy," and "Black" are like very memorable tracks, and like you said, it tackles like very serious issues, like very political, depression. You can see like the point of view of the band. And one of my favorite other tracks, it's "Why Go." I think it's very underrated.
Why go?
I'm sorry?
I'm thinking, why go?
Yeah, I never, when you ask someone what's your favorite tracks from 10 or from Proja, I never heard anyone mentioning that song, but I really like the lyrics. Like, she seems to be stronger, but what they want her is to be weak. So she could play pretend, she could join the game. So she could be another clone. Like, okay.
Yeah,
they want
it's
to be
great.
one more.
Yeah,
it's a great song. For me, also, "Release" is one of my favorite tracks. It's very emotional, and I always get emotional when I hear that song. I also like "Oceans." It's like a beautiful ballad. It's different from all the other songs. And
just say you like the whole album.
yeah, I like more the almost every song, but my favorite, "Release" and "Black."
Yeah, those are great songs. Yeah. So what about you, JC?
Yeah, I mean, basically the whole album was great. I think the best songs, it has a really great front half. I think songs 1 through maybe 7 are really great. I think songs like 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe I like a little less. My favorite would be "Black." I think he just gives a really great vocal performance. And I know like they didn't want to release that as a single for some reason. I'm not really sure what it is. But "Black" will always be I think probably one of my favorite Pearl Jam songs ever. "Jeremy," I think that's a really, really great song. It just has a very powerful message. This one I remember a lot. I used to watch the music video on, it would come on MTV a lot. And that music video, it was a censored version, and they had an uncensored version. that you can find on YouTube, where it basically shows the kid putting a gun like up here and shooting himself right in front of the classroom. Now, Pearl Jam, I think they wanted to do that just to kind of spread awareness for like gun violence. But back then the video was censored on MTV. So that's always a good song. I was like, and Alive. That's like the first song I ever heard from them. And I always liked it. Kind of has like this slow guitar riff. And I always like that. Thought it was like very different. And it was just a really great song. So those would be my three. I know, other than the fact that I just like the whole album.
The whole album is good.
Other than like maybe Deep and Release, maybe like a little less, but tracks like 1 through 7 are just like 10 out of 10 songs for me.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
Those are my favorites too.
Yeah, I agree. And I found why they didn't do the video. I did some searching. So actually, they didn't do a video for Black because some friend of Jeff Ament told them that when he saw the music for Jeremy video, he thought the video sucked and it ruined the vision of the song. And I'm like, I don't know why he said that. I thought that was that video captured the song's essence great.
Yeah.
So what happened there? He told that to Eddie Vedder, and Eddie Vedder didn't want people to remember their songs as music videos. So that's why they didn't do Black. But the record label Epic wanted them to do Black, and I can say right here, I think Black is one of the best Pearl Jam songs ever. And when I was a kid in high school, I always wondered, why didn't they release that song? Like when I hear that, like it's just like, it's, oh my God, it's so haunting and chilling. And today's day, like I gotta read the lyrics because like I don't know really what it's about. Like, but I think that's the essence of a great song, when it's like cryptic. And it's like you think you know, but you may never know. But obviously, it's like a love song.
Well, many people think it's about loss, like about dealing with some kind of loss.
Yeah, because it fades to black.
Yeah,
like darkness, like death. But it's one of the best Pearl Jam songs ever. I actually I think when I saw them in 2001, they played that song, and I got goosebumps. I'm like, oh. And obviously the singles were great. None of you have mentioned Even Flow. Like Even Flow, it's a great song, because I think it gets overlooked by Alive, but I think Even Flow was the first one they released before Alive. I'm not sure. I would have to check.
Yeah, it might have been.
Yeah,
I know Alive was the first one that I listened to.
Yeah, I remember Even Flow. I love the music video. It's because they did almost all the other music videos were them jamming, and Eddie Vedder's voice. I think what Señorita Sabrosura said about Why Go. I always think that Why Go is an underrated track. Because everyone mentions other tracks in the album. I think Once is a great opener. I think this album has a great opener in Once and a great closer in Release Me. And that's something that they did.
Because it goes back to Once.
Yeah, it goes back to, at the end it goes back to dun, dun, dun. It's so great. And that's something that they did, like I remember when they put out Versus, the last album on the song is really good. It's like usually like a ballad, but like a very deep ballad. Like I think the tracks that I less like, I would say I think Deep would be, and I like it too. Garden is okay. I love Porch growing up. I felt like, what the fuck is this? I love that like rapid part at the beginning, but I love the album in its entirety. I think I agree with JC with what he says. Like the first 7 songs are just like hit after, like it's just keeps going. But to me, it never lets up. It's I think they could have released the 11 songs as singles, and every song here could be a single potentially, and that's super rare nowadays, that you can have an album that you can say all the songs here could have been singles. I love Nevermind, but you know what? I don't think all the songs there could have been a single. A lot of there's and this one to me, all the songs could have been singles. So yeah, so now we're getting to the part. How does it hold up? I think this is gonna be how does it hold up 31 years later? Señorita?
Well, I think, like I say, it's an album that I started appreciating more with the year. So I think it aged very well. And I think it stood the test of time. Like you can hear it today and it feels like a classic, but at the same time, like refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just talking about it, I just want to go and spin it.
Yes.
That's what the power of this album has. So
yeah, it aged very well.
yeah. What about you, JC?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to basically say the same thing. It aged very well. I think a lot of these grunge bands, or those Seattle bands, I guess we can call them, they aged very well, you know, as opposed to a lot of like those hair metal bands. Some of them like didn't really age well for me when I used to listen to them when I was like a teenager. I'm talking about Poison, Bon Jovi. Those bands or albums I don't go back to, but the grunge I go back to them a lot.
Me too.
And I think if they're really good, they're good. I mean, Pearl Jam, I think they were the band that like released like the most albums out of all those out of all the those big four grunge. They released a lot of albums in the 90s, but those first three were just like really great. Even I mean, pretty much all their albums are really good, like Yield and Vitology and Backspacer.
Yeah, I think No
Binaural.
Code. Yeah, No Code is good, but it's the fourth one, the fourth album. No Code is very underrated. The one that they released after Vitology.
Yeah, there was No Code and Yield, the one called Yield. That one I recently bought that on CD also. But I think that those ones are good, but the first three albums, like if we were to rank them, and I don't know if 10 would be first or Versus. I think it would be between 10 or Versus as my number one, but
yeah,
I think it held up very well.
Yeah, they held up very well. And Yield is great too, but I have painful memories of that album Yield because that came out in 1998, and the girlfriend that I had at the time, it was Valentine's Day. She bought me the album, and then she broke up with me. So it kind of tainted that album for me. So now when I listen to Yield, I think of that moment. It's like album ruined. But yeah, no, Pearl Jam 10 to me, it's one of my top 5 albums of all time. It's an album that I say the word flawless. This is a flawless album. So for you young YouTubers who say it sucks, really listen to it, because this does not suck. You suck. This is one of the, like if this comes out today, it sounds as fresh as it did back in 1991. That's the power of timeless music. Like when you can listen to something like 31 years later and you're still like floored by it. I still listen to this and I'm floored by it. That's how good it is. It's amazingly produced. The chemistry that they had as a band was incredible. And it's a lot of people would say that after this was their best album, because it's very strange when you have a band that right out of the gate has this like amazing debut. Like another band that I could say had like an amazing debut like that, Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. That's clearly another case of like a first album that out of the gate. I could say Kill 'Em All by Metallica, but I don't love it as much as other albums. But yeah, this and Nirvana's Nevermind, for you people, that's not their first album. So, so for people that don't know, Bleach was their first album.
Yeah.
And Bleach is good, but not as good as this. But yes, it's aged really well for me. This is an album that I still listen to on a regular basis. I like Versus too and Vitology. I think Versus and this one are my favorite, but I think this one has like more nostalgia to me, and that's why I still would think it's their best album. But it's, I think Pearl Jam, this 10 is an album that inspired a lot of bands that tried to get that sound after them. There were bands that, like the big four of grunge, you had the Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Nirvana, and Pearl Jam. There's like bands that you can tell who like the bands better because they sound a little bit like them, or who their influences were. But yeah, to this day, Pearl Jam 10, flawless record. So we want to know, what are your memories of Pearl Jam 10? What are your favorite tracks? Do you think it holds up as one of the best debut albums for rock of all time? Or do you think it sucks like that kid in YouTube, which I won't name? So if you haven't, please check out my guest channel, JC Rock and Metal Reviews. He's got over 1,000 subscribers, but we got to get him higher. And he does rankings. He talks about more classic rocks. I also do collaborations with him on his channel. And, so check it out. He has a lot of knowledge of a lot of different bands, and he does different types of videos. And Señorita Sabrosura does her mini videos talking about more rock in Spanish, and also all our collaboration videos are over there, so you can check them out, and you can subscribe to her. So also, if you haven't subscribed to me, if you like the content, subscribe. I have more things on the way, and we'll have more collaborations. So again, people, listen to Pearl Jam 10. So until next time, this is Hector, the Shield on a Couch, with Señorita Sabrosura and JC Rock and Metal Reviews. And we'll see you on the next video.
Yeah.
Bye.